Okay, we're back. I think we will begin from the bottom, and I'll take it really quickly with you, Barrister Fu. The government has really explained the strategic significance of the Amazonian State Army. We've evolved from at the time of the ASC and Amba boys and terrible name Changshoes. We know the mayhem that is caused when there is disorganization on the ground. The cost is always blood. Is always division, is always chaos. The word unity warrior from a distance and from a strange person would sound good, but it comes with a lot of disunity. And the actors always behind are not really people that seek for the actual independence of Amazonia. So it's worrisome to see the re-emergence of the unity warrior at this time. Barrister Pro, please.
Yes, buddy. As we move towards resolving this our quagmire, the struggle, we cannot help but ponder that after the so-called unity warriors were annihilated, after when no pity was put away, I don't know these palace unity warriors that are surfacing now. Like the president said, if you are fighting on the ground and you are not a member of the Amazonian State Army, you are a gunman. And when the time comes, you will be treated as a gunman. And a gunman is a terrorist. A gunman without a chain of command, without a government that sustains it, is a terrorist. So I will leave the rest of the analysis to the military specialists that we have on this platform. But let me say that these people, when they see success in the air, they find a way to dampen. They find a way to come in and spoil us. Because I don't understand. The Amazonian State Army has been fighting and has put things in order in all of Amazonia, only for a certain group, the remnants of ADF, together with some disgruntled and nonchalant Amazonians living abroad here, will go on the ground and call themselves unity warriors, or they call them palace warriors, whatever they call. They are present in Paco, unfortunately. They are present in Bui, and I trust that Commandant Willie, Commandant Elvis and his troops will handle that situation. I don't know what else to say other than that. They are gunmen, and a gunman
Like you
is
have
a
said,
terrorist.
like you have rightly said, the commanders will be able to give us clarity and more information on the stakes involved and propose the possible solutions that can be employed. I'll take it now to the Chief of Staff, Ambassador Mbesia, to talk to us from the lens of administration and governance in this regard. Ambassador Mbesia, please.
Well, well, I'm sure the two of us here don't have the competence.
Thank you.
Luckily, we have Commander Elvis
Right.
and we have Shea Yimbo there. That's their game. They know the job. It's a difficult job, but we hope they will up to the task. Rather than waste our time on that, we'll defer our time to them to use it to explain if they need so. But it's a rare problem. Over to you.
Okay, before I come to you, Commander Zama, I want Elvis to make an assessment of the actual collateral damage or the benefits that might come with this whole core unity warriors. Who are the actors? If you have any information, what could actually be the reason for it? Is it that they have not been sufficiently educated? Why would they choose a path that we have seen before? It's like a movie you've watched and you've pressed the replay, and you've rewind and you're pressing the replay. So there are lots of concerns involved because of the sour taste we get at every given moment. We hear this or feel the scent of some anything unity or unity warrior. Please, Commander Davis.
Thank you very much, Director Patty, for that question. And I would really plead that you give me some time to kind of dive into the etymology. I was very pleased with the report. I think Star Smart did an excellent job there with that report of the Unity Warriors, how it originated. That was actually 100% accurate. Knowing where it came from and the circumstances that surrounded that, it gives a bitter taste actually to a lot of Amazonians. Especially when we lost one of our best. No Pity was one of the best that Amazonians had. FM Isubu, one of the best that Amazonians had. And when No Pity was working under the county structure, following the chain of command, he was doing great until that moment where that division came in, and spoilers used that opportunity to now throw a different narrative, convince him otherwise, told him that he had the potential to become the president, and he should not listen to anybody out there who was not holding a weapon. That was the beginning of the much uh, longer story that we are talking about today. The way No PT operated was very technical. You could tell from his ability in the field that he was a very capable fighter, somebody that was feared, admired by so many, just like FM Esubo. And unfortunately, again, La Republique was looking to always strike fights between our great fighters because if you look at the Amazonian War of Independence, you see that most of our great fighters fell from their own swords. It was not the enemy that killed them, it was only from within. And that proxy was what they took that opportunity to come up with, right? So, in that sense, once the Unity Warriors was formed, they came out actually against FM Isubu. So it was not really a united force to fight La Republique. They were looking for a common denomination, and that common denomination there was uh, the hateful whosoever was a part of the structure for which they wanted to destroy. Destroying the structure meant they having their own financial uh, gains without having to give any accountability. And that is why I'm always enforcing to every county in Amazonia that those counties need to keep a clear record of all the atrocities committed by any fighter. That means any fighter in that county is an element of that county or the local government area, which falls under the county, and in turn is an integral part of the Federal Republic of Amazonia. And anybody fighting for or under that local government area, under that county, has to be held accountable for any crimes that they commit. We have seen that some fighters have used this opportunity where they disregard the rules of conduct, which is, of course, their code of conduct, and they do not want to be held responsible when they commit any actions, and they don't want to fall under any structure for the sake of not being held accountable. And that is why you see a lot of those that went to the Unity Warrior that were promised to become president at some point, now despising anybody that is of other authority. But the technical question, or the question that we ask all of them, is yes, we are in a revolution, and we all understand that this revolution would end in negotiations. Would they be able to leave the bush to come and negotiate? We do have a government that has a political wing, that has what it takes to negotiate outside of maybe the battlefield. If they, as unity warriors, are being lied to have no chain of command, where the buck stops with you, you want to control fighters, but you don't want to listen to advice from anybody, that should tell you something. That is the mindset of somebody who is a criminal, because you don't want to be held accountable for anything. And our continuous education, unfortunately, might have not been enough. We understand the limitations of some of our fighters. It takes time to educate them. But again, these are all our state men and women. Sometimes it just takes us longer to educate them. But we can also attest that that education is vigorously ongoing. Unfortunately, we still see some elements trying to recruit, especially when we start seeing light at the end of the tunnel. We have all those letter public agents that try to amplify or push for the idea of a unity warrior that has no chain of command. That is basically falling into letter public's strategy of making sure that we do not present a united front which is able to challenge them in any way, shape, or form. And whenever we come out as divided, then we lack a clear stance, or whenever we come out with some forces not paying allegiance to to the government of the Federal Republic of Amazonia, they then put in question which other leaders are there, right? And that is where La Republique wants us to be. They want us to be divided. I wish our fighters, our great fighters, like the ones that took over from No Pity, that they could go back to when No Pity was No Pity, when he was brought up by his county, coached by his county, mentored, advised, provided some assistance. Unfortunately, yes, when we go back to talk to some of these fighters, the first question they always want to ask is, what have you been able to support us with? Right? A lot of them have this notion that we as a government already have some financial resources in place that we can just give them the materials that they desire. We all know how we go around to solicit for support, and the county structures which we've built basically to raise funds to support them, how we have put so much effort to be able to get the assistance that we get to execute these wars, right? Unfortunately, a lot of our men and women back home, they don't have this knowledge, and sometimes it's very difficult to really take time and explain to them the details of how our resources are managed, to understand that even when we get resources, we also have diplomacy, we have our refugees that we have to take care of, we have the farmers that we have to take care of, and it's a whole lot of other activities other than just providing the resources to our farmers now to do what they have to do. We understand that is the number one priority, but there are other situations that we have to also put in our resources to, especially as a government, because you're responsible for everybody. And I keep on telling them, whether Unity Warrior or whosoever you fall under, know that you fall under the Federal Republic of Ambazonia's government, and it is your responsibility to act accordingly. We cannot allow rogue elements to be roaming our territories. We know that yes, they now have the weapons. They could speak louder. There's little that maybe some fighters could do other than just obey and fall in line. But for the most part, a lot of fighters
So
do
there.
not want or do not stand for the Unity Warriors because they know that there is no clear leadership. They do not provide a way forward. They do bring a situation where they say, okay, you are fighting for somebody, right? For example, or
Because
when they say
Lagos
you're
was buying
fighting,
during the money.
uh, okay, well, maybe you could ask Dr. Yaya please to mute, if you don't mind.
Yeah,
So
I've
I was
muted
just
Dr. Area. Dr. Area and Barrister Mbesia, you guys are live on TV. Go
yeah,
ahead, Commander Evans, so that we can hear from Commander Zama, please.
okay. Yes. So I was explaining the fact that uh, a lot of these fighters back home, uh, once they understand that the umbrella Amazonian State Army is there to protect them, is there for their safety, they would align. They would align in the sense that number one, if you fight as a unity warrior fighter and you are not obeying the chain of command for your county leadership or for the federal government, tomorrow, when it's all said and done, your family would be left behind. Who would be responsible for them? We've already created a system in place where Ambazonia come tomorrow would be like uh, Americans after World War II, where they had what they call the GI Bill, right? Where you go to the families of the service members and you provide support, be it free education, provide support so their families can also benefit from the sacrifices of those that they left behind. So these are all
So if
things
I do
that
understand, Commander Evans, let me come in there. You have a lot of questions to take that will help you to buttress all the point. If I do
sure.
understand, you're critical of this whole formation because you feel they are not looking at the bigger picture, the long-term goals and the plans.
Yes.
By if I also listen to you, some of them are having some grievances, which are issues that you have assert that the NSC and government can address. So before I come back to you on that, I want to ask Commander Zama to talk to us. The picture that has been painted and the observations you've had in this regard and with what is happening on the ground for quite some time. What do you think could be the sentiments or the agitations that lead to these fragmentations as we move ahead with this whole thing?
I think the more we want to have one unified command, it's very difficult in a revolution. In every given revolution, there have always been factions. There's not a single one that's been homogeneous. The Unity Warriors, as they term themselves, is it's a feeble group that they just gather people when need be and have them say they are Unity Warriors. You can see the last thing they had was Unity Warriors, Bali Unity Warriors, Batibo Unity Warriors. All those people didn't act they didn't act in an operation that amounted to what it was. That is people back home, the soldiers back home, they are friends, which each, no matter what side of the equation they are all friends. And they tend to go to these fights as a group and not as a defined unity warriors. But some of them they will take these weapons and say, "Oh, this is what we've taken seized from the La Republique troops, and this is what," and they go from one group to the other. It's just a way to siphon money from different people and different times. But we want them to be safe. We don't want them to be attacking each other. If that's the best way they can do it, fine. But I don't think as Unity Warriors, as they call themselves, it's a misnomer from the original Unity Warriors that we know, and they can flaunt it as they like. There's a lady called Titi who comes up, and each time these things come, any fight that comes up on Facebook, she hands it and labels it Unity Warriors and make them call the people to say they are. They do have these kids who they can control and they make them do what they want to do in terms of those videos. I don't think there's much to it to buy because our citizens understand what are really the differences, who are those who are protecting them and who are those who are not. And sometimes some of these groups are not doing the best protection to our citizens. And it's still a problem within our community where we have these bandits and thugs who go around and they steal, and when they are just about to be caught, they say they are ambas. Amba is just a generic name that even La Republic soldiers who are in a wing, they have a gang of about 20 people who are from Kedeya in the north who just go around marauding and stealing and killing people. In the daytime, they wear the uniform, and in the night, they go out as a group of thieves. So Amba is just a generic, and Unity Warrior is coming to that generic term too.
You see, a lot of Amazonians are actually waiting tonight to hear us what we're going to say on the issue regarding Milan, Atta Milan. And I want to ask you this question, Commander Elvis, to conclude on this issue so that we can get all us into that letter or memo sent out. Is it a press communique or something? Milan trying to educate the Amazonian community with his falsehood rhetoric. But this is it. Um, Indicting the name of TT gives a clue that can be likened to what we have seen before. Like I said earlier on, this is a movie that has played before us before, and we are seeing it again. Where when you have individuals loyal to government structures and who have access to some of these people, they abuse institutions. They go, they have some of these boys that are loyal to them, and they're the ones instigating, maneuvering, and doing all of this in spite of the consequences. As we speak right now, I'm not ignorant of what TT is doing and his guys. They work together in tandem. What I want to know from the NSC, and with your reaction also, Commander Zama, after Evis, is aside from just allowing this play before us again, are we comfortable enough to say that the new framework the government is using to ensure the way things should be going can, in a long term, not in, because we don't really want this war to extend, let's say in the short term, 6 months or a year, can it help to contain this, save the lives of more of these fighters, and make some of them see reasons that these structures are not just meant to control them, but to help them protect their lives in the effort of safeguarding our sovereignty? I begin that with you, Commander Evans.
Thank you again, Director Patty, for that great question. Um, that question is a little difficult to answer in the sense that you give a timeline there, right? Um, a lot of our fighters, as we know, have gone through stages in this revolution where at this point you can definitely see that their death rates have been greatly minimized. We wish they had all this education long time ago. We would have saved a lot of lives. Sometimes you can't really tell how soon the policy, especially one that requires knowledge training, could be transferred. And that is why we're here to make sure that we educate our fighters, we educate the population so that they understand what long term benefits are whenever you have a structure. The structure that actually has an end goal in sight, a structure that has all the pillars that are required for us to get our independence. Like I mentioned earlier, it is not just about fighting with guns, but it's also on the diplomatic front. We do need our fighters to be united to give us that diplomatic leverage for us to take to the diplomatic table. However, divided force is also very difficult for us to maybe coordinate or maybe pass standing orders that can be respected all across the board. But we are confident that if we continue in this line, we want everybody on board. We want everybody to, just like we had some rogue elements back in the days of the ADF, who just joined the fight because of their, and their aspiration to free Amazonia, and they didn't know what the group was all about, and it took a lot of education for some to actually realize that they were actually in a bad group, right? So it also is going to take that education for us to let some of these fighters who might be genuine that fall under this trap of joining unity waters without having a clear purpose or clear directives. To their leaders, a lot of credit goes to our late Vice President, Mr. Eric Ate, may his soul rest in peace, and the President of the Federal Republic of Amazonia. They were very instrumental and even reaching out to these some of these fighters that call themselves the Unity Warriors. Whenever they do some great work, they reach out to them and provide support of some sort, be it moral, financial, however it is. They make sure that they do not go completely astray, and that they are still recognized as fighters that we hope they would be able to change course and move in the right direction. Remember, before all this happens, you all heard the etymology of the Unity Warriors. Most of these, especially those in Bui, were under the Bui Warriors. They were fighting under Bui Warriors, very proud. But the enemy saw that opportunity to, bring that division in between that great fighting force. We are hoping that, and we can see definitely that, under the command structure of some of our great SAA, like Major General Talk and Do, you can see a clear leadership structure there. You could see a clear chain of command, and you could see a clear vision. This is not somebody that goes around arresting or kidnapping people. He's somebody that is known for his leadership role, and we hope that that example can be extended. We hope that others can be able to see and know that this is the Amazonia that you want tomorrow. Somebody that has those kind of leadership skill. Those that call themselves Unity Warriors, speaking with most of them, the idea of running away from being, from being confronted when they carry out actions that are anti-revolutionary is what they bask on. So nobody can come to ask them any questions. uh, that is the challenge that we're having, to convince these boys that it is not about you getting any financial gains. It is not about the government paying you, because ultimately, you being in the county or local government area, you are sponsored by the people that are there. And the government, as we know, is people for the people by the people. So if you are part of the government, or you're collecting money from these people, you are already part of the government. So you cannot collect money and then you come out and say you are not a part of the government. So that is the education that we will have to make sure that these fighters understand, and it don't come across like they are trying to fight the government, which is not a good visual for all of us, right? So I believe we would get them on track. I just believe we have to be also open to understanding some of the challenges that they face, even though we cannot resolve all the issues. But we have to be open to communicate and also educate, which is very important. On that note, I am very positive. Um, Again, whenever we see the light at the end of the tunnel, we always have some stepping stones that maybe become stumbling blocks for us, but I believe we will be able to step over this one this time around. It is We had ADF at one time. Now we don't even talk about such. So definitely, Unity Warriors is just something that would also dissolve with time, and I'm very positive about that. On that note, Director Patty, I would hand over the microphone to my colleague to also usher in some words.
Yes, the idea was how are we going about it, Commander Zama, and how sustainable is it? How can we minimize the loss of lives that this same move has done before? And looking at the framework in front of you, how confident are you that this can be contained within the shortest time possible? Nobody wants this war forever.
I don't think it's a war that's gonna be forever. The good thing is that we are trying to make these young men and women to understand that a war of attrition is not to anyone's benefit. Um, Whether they are unity warriors or whatever group or outfit they are, we want them to fight the way they have to fight. Let them fight the enemy and not the enemy in between them. Um, we are educating them. We are educating them. We are keeping them abreast of what is supposed to be done and what ought to be done as soldiers protecting the people of Amazonia. Uh, it's not that there are some who are not going to want to be within the framework of command structure because they are thugs. They catch people and hold them for ransom, and that's something that we cannot really control. Well, our job is to be able to help them, keep them safe from each other, keep them safe from the enemy. And for those who listen, will be safe. For those who can't listen, most of those who did not listen to us, many of those fighters have actually given way from this earth. They've been killed either by their own actions, or by traitors who tell their places of hiding to the enemy. So we are making them to understand that working as a team with a command structure does not necessarily stop them from what it is, but it gives them some cover in case uh, it, in case there's something that comes. We can defend them if we must. But if they are acting out of that role, we cannot really defend them. But that's where the education comes in, and we are talking a lot to these kids. A lot of them, some of them are under the influence, and they just do what they have to do. But the influence is really from a lot of people from other parts of the world who want to contest. From their perception, they think the people in America are controlling the soldiers down on ground zero, and they want a piece of that action and take pride in that command structure there. But at the end of the day, we tell them we are not fighting this war. They started this war back home and invited us to help. We are just helping. We are just a placeholder for them to express that they are the ones giving their blood and sometimes their money too to fight and liberate this place for us that we call home. We are just trying to encourage them to be civil to each other and do what they must do to protect our people and themselves. Anything out of that, we don't have any control over.